affairs, crimes. Today we're gonna be going over the story of Nathan Pyatt and how an alarm clock cost him his life. See, Nathan Pyatt, he was a staff sergeant in the Air Force. So you know how military guys are, right? They would get deployed for 6 months, come back for 6 months, deploy for another 6 months again, right? Everything was going fine. Nathan had a big happy family. However, everything changed after one grisly night when Nathan was murdered. Did he have people who held grudges? Did he owe someone money? Was it just unlucky timing? We're about to go through all of this, so stick with me. It's about to get a little bit wild up in here. See, my boy Nathan, see, he was born in a big happy family. He was the most loving of all the kids. He grew up, he got a high school lover. I'm jealous. Like, come on, man. I wish I could have had something like that. He gets a high school lover by the name of Michelle. See, they were young, dumb, in love, and broke. Nathan would get himself a little retail job so he could support his woman, because he trying to get the queen everything that she deserved. See, Nathan would do whatever he could to spoil his woman, Michelle, but Michelle was getting a little bit of taste of the lifestyle, and she wanted some more. And Nathan realized that, and he was like, all right, baby, I'll get you some more. They grew hungry. They were starving. They wanted the American dream. So what they do? Nathan go ahead on and gives her a baby, and then Nathan goes and joins the Air Force that exact same year. Everything was going great between them. Nathan had a great steady job. He was taking care of his family. He was doing everything that they could have asked him to do. He was the most loving husband when he was there with his son, baby one. And when he was deployed, he was doing everything he can to make sure that he came back safe to his wife. See, now a couple of deployments later, Nathan was like, all right, you got one here a little bit grown. Let me go ahead and give you another one. So they got a second child, and the wife was like, I want another one. So they got a third child, and then you know what? They were like, just for the fucking, so they all have friends, let's give them another one. Right? So now I got four babies walking around that house, plus Michelle, who's trying to live a certain lifestyle. Now Nathan, being the great man that he is, he couldn't show that he was struggling. Nathan would volunteer for more active duties, and he would volunteer for the Iraq War. Nathan would go off, he would be earning money all the while thinking about his family. Michelle, see, the thing about, we'll get to that in a second, all right? Nathan would come back home, and he would be the loving father, husband that he was supposed to be. He was all over his kids. He was all over his wife. He was doing everything top notch while balancing all of the finances, making sure that everything was going exactly the way that he wanted to in his life. Even when they got moved to Vegas, Nathan made sure to buy his wife a bigger house. A bigger house. Just so she could have more room to do whatever it is that she wanted. 1 month after a couple more years, Nathan goes on a tour. Everything is going great. Michelle's in love with them. Everything is just rainbows, Hershey kisses, whatever you could think of, right? But something happened. Now, check this out. Michelle, although she was the most loving wife and everything that you could ask for in a wife, she took care of the kids. She made sure the house was like everything was taken care of stateside while he took care of everything foreign side, right? But something snuck into her mind. Just a little thought snuck into her mind. What if Nathan don't come back? What if he don't come home? Is he already dead out there? What am I gonna do without him? The thoughts started spiraling in her head. I mean, like absolutely spiraling, and she going down. She starts thinking of that you really just don't want to think of when like your significant other is probably out somewhere fighting a war, right? Michelle's like, I can't do this. How am I supposed to support myself? How am I supposed to live like this? I have gotten accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and I can't go back to this no matter what. All this going through her head. Nathan's off shooting bullets like, I can't wait to get back home to my kids. And all she could think of is, I need more money. I need a certain lifestyle. Me, right? But it was all just the spiraling thoughts in her head. Nothing that she would really act. So she was like, okay, I kind of need to get out a little bit more, because she was doing the whole housewife thing. But she said, you know what? I do need to make sure that I get out more just in case something happens, right? So she would get a job as a telemarketer. I don't know about y'all, but I would work at McDonald's before I'm a telemarketer. But I appreciate telemarketers. You're doing what you got to do, right? She would get a job at a telemarketer and start socializing with a bunch of people to kind of get the feel of being social again, right? And then she would start going to beauty school, because she's like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. Give myself a hobby while Nathan's out there fighting these wars, right? To make sure that I have something to do so I can stay stable and ready for him to come back anytime that he wants. And I got money, a little bit of pocket change to secure her lifestyle, right? See, nothing was too much out of the ordinary. Nathan would come home. He would do his little father husband thing, right? Very loving, doing everything he could. Michelle was in love with him, madly in love with him, right? But every now and again, when Nathan would leave, those negative thoughts would creep back into her mind, and she'd start spiraling and spiraling and spiraling, right? So one month, Nathan's like, all right, I gotta go back. I'm gonna take a little bit more volunteer deployments. So she's like, do you have to leave right now? He's like, I'm sorry, but I have to. We have to afford this house. She's like, but I want you here. She's like, I'm sorry, baby. I gotta go. You want this lifestyle? I gotta make sure I'm making money for you. And she was like, okay, I know you gotta leave, but I love you. So he walks out of the house after she, gives him his goodbye kiss. You know what I mean? She gives him the goodbye kiss. Everything is going good. It's going great. She's doing her thing. She's at beauty school. She's having her little telemarketer job on the side. And then one day, it creeps back in. Just a little bit. You just hear a little bit of creeps coming back into her brain. She hear it. What if he don't come back? He's never coming back. He's probably already dead. She starts going a little bit crazy. She's spiraling all over the place. And then one day, while she's in a deep spiral, everything is going to shit. She's going deeper and deeper down the tunnel. She doesn't know what's going to happen. She doesn't know if she's going to make it out. She can't even take care of her kids correctly. She gets a text message on her phone. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's from my boy Nathan, deployed overseas. But let me tell you that you're wrong. She gets a text message, and it's from a dude named Michael. Now, see, Michael, she done met Michael while she was doing her little socializing at the telemarketer thing. Now, see, the thing about Michael is Michelle was still all over Nathan, so there was nothing to really trip on, but Michael was on fucking attack mode, if you know what I'm saying. He was on 100. He was coming after her every which way that you could think of. He made sure that he had a 360-degree attack 24/7, never let her go to sleep without knowing that she's beautiful type of shit, right? He would send her, "You're beautiful" texts. "Oh, you're amazing. I bet you could do anything that you wanted to." She kind of pushed it off, and she was like, all right, I get that you like me, but I need you to understand that I'm with Nathan. I got my 4 kids, and we in a loving, happy relationship. He gives me whatever I want. But Michael was like, all right, that's cool, but he ain't me. He ain't here. I'm going to keep attacking you. And Michelle's like, all right, whatever, man. You just keep doing you. And see, a couple more tours go by and everything's going great. Michelle and Nathan are in love. They're still doing their thing every single day. See, one day, Nathan was back home from deployment, but Michelle was feeling a little sick from beauty school while she was out. So she was like, all right, I'm going to go home and I'm going to take me a nap. So she goes home. She creaks into the door, and she sees my boy Nathan just laying there on the couch. So she's like, all right. She goes and taps Nathan. She's like, get up. Go to the bedroom. We're about to go to sleep together, if you know what I'm saying, right? So they go to the bedroom, and she put my boy Nathan to sleep the good way, the best way that you could think of. She put him to sleep. She put that boy out so cold that he forgot to set his alarm. Now, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes even when I don't set my alarm, I still wake up just in time, and that's what Nathan did. See, Nathan had woken up the next morning, but he realized something. He was late to work. Not fully late, and like realistically, if we're thinking about it, I would much rather be late to a job at McDonald's than to be late for a military job, right? But anyway, my boy was late, so he gets up. He's trying to shuffle his pants on. He's grabbing his keys, grabbing his wallet. He got a burnt piece of toast in his mouth, and he's shuffling out the door with Michelle right behind him. See, Nathan gets to the garage, and he opens the garage door to get to his car. See, he's walking out to his car. He looks back at his wife, and he tells her, hey, when I get back home, we going for round 2, if you know what I'm saying. And she said, I love you. Go on here, boy. Right? And as she turned around with a big smile on her face, he gave him a little wink, and then he starts to turn around and get into his car. Pop, 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 pop. Right to the center mass. He gets shot right in his chest. Michelle has no idea what's going on, but her first instinct was to go inside, grab the kids, and get down. W wife, you know what I'm saying? She grabs the kid, she gets down, she has no idea what's happening. She hears steps coming towards her though. And then someone creaks open the door. She's fearing for her life. Who could it be? And it's Nathan. Nathan walks into that door, covered in blood from head to toe. He takes a couple of steps. He looks at his kids, and he drops to the floor. My man's laying on the floor with his eyes wide open. Michelle starts screaming, ah! Oh my God, oh my God. Nathan, are you okay? She runs to Nathan and she starts calling 911. 911 pick up the phone and she was like, hello, how can I help you? She was like, Nathan, he's bleeding. Come help him, please. Come help him. Wait, ma'am, calm down, calm down. Is he breathing? Who the fuck cares if he's breathing? Get the fuck over here and help him. He's bleeding out. His eyes are open. They get there, they rush there as fast as they can, but it's too late. My boy Nathan's already nice. Michelle's just sitting there distraught. The kids are in the corner. She tried to put them away from the father so that they don't see that he's bleeding out on the floor, just dying in his own puddle of blood. She's sitting there distraught while the police walk in and they're like, damn, what the fuck happened here? Jesus. There was blood all over the garage. There was blood on the car, blood all over Nathan, blood on the floor. There was blood everywhere. It was basically the Red Wedding. They were like, what the fuck happened here, woman? She's like, I don't know. I heard gunshots. Nathan walk in, body on floor, blood, scared, right? So that, you know, usually how they would go about it, right? Okay, we're gonna process the scene. Do you know what happened here? She's like, no, I just heard gunshots. I came out and then nobody was here. Nathan was just on the ground dead in here, right here. So like the detectives really ain't got no leads right now. Obviously they just got here and they gotta do their whole processing thing, right? So they decide they're gonna go canvass the neighbors since I guess Michelle really ain't have nothing for them. So they go and talk to the neighbors. They're like, hello neighbor one, can you tell me if you saw anything weird around the time that you heard the gunshots and you made the 911 call? They were like, no, I didn't really hear anything. I wasn't really paying attention. And then they went over to the nosy neighbor and she was like, I saw everything. I saw everything. She told them that she saw a man wearing a brown sweater. No other description, but he was just wearing a brown sweater. They said that he was wearing a brown sweater and he was driving a black car. He was whipping that motherfucker. Now, right after the shooting happened, he was gone. They don't know who it is. They just know that it's a black car. Now, see, the detectives, they had a woman come and talk to her by the name of Lauren Anderson to, you know, kind of help her feel better about the situation. So the detectives go back and talk to her, right? And they say, hey, Michelle, let me talk to you for a second. Now, see, one of your neighbors, she a little bit nosy, but she told us that she saw a black car drive off. Now, would you know any black cars? Michelle said, I fucking know who it is, right? It was just a black car. How the fuck would you know? She said, I know who it is. So she fucking tells him, it must be Michael. Who the fuck is Michael? It must be Michael. It can't be nobody else, right? Because Michael was hitting her up on 100%, right? He was making sure that he was sliding in them DMs with maximum efficiency, if you know what I'm saying. So she tells him that it's Michael. They look up Michael and they see, okay, it could be Michael, right? He has prior offenses. It might be Michael, so we should probably check in on him. So they bring Michael in and they're like, hey, Michael, let me talk to you for a second, right? They were grilling them. They were all over him, asking him, where were you at when you were doing this? It has to be you. You have a crime. You have a motive. But see, Michael just sat there calm, cool, and collected. He was like, hey, look, I don't know what you're talking about, but I was at the supermarket hitting on this hot young thing named Shannon. Now, she was feeling me. I was feeling her. We were talking so much that we got tired of standing. So I asked her, hey, you want to take this back to the hotel room? And she graciously agreed. So we went back to the hotel room and we shared a little bit of time, you know, talking. Not so much talking, but you get what I'm saying. If you want to go ahead and talk to her, she could corroborate my story. The detectives went and asked her and she was like, yeah, we were doing all that. You ain't got to worry about it. He was with me the whole time. All right, cool. Solid alibi. Right? Michael said it was supposed to be a one-night thing, but, you know, he was kind of feeling her a little bit. So he said he might want to continue this. So but the detectives ain't tell her that. She don't need to know that. See, now the detectives having no lead, they go back to Michelle because they're like, hey, yo, no, come here. Come here. We ain't got no lead, so I need to ask you a few personal questions to see if there's any reason why Nathan would just be shot in broad daylight in his driveway like this, right? They asked Michelle, they're like, so tell me, Michelle, have y'all been having any relationship problems? And she was like, yeah. And they were like, do you love him? And she was like, I mean, he's a man. He's there. There ain't no other one. Listen to me. If my spirit was out of my body and I was floating around la-di-da looking at myself like, damn, I got shut up like that, looking at my wife beautifully for one last time, and they ask her a question, do you love him? And she says, he just there. I would turn over in my grave. I would die twice as a spirit. Oh my god, dude. Like, ain't no way. The love of my life just shank and twist my ghost like that. So now having no other leads, they kind of asked Michelle. They were like, "Hey, do you mind if we go through your phone? Maybe there's someone to message you that would kind of give us an inkling as to why Michael would do something like this if it was him, right?" So they go through her phone, and all they see is like the bare bones, basic text messages through them. But then they see this one that says the Van Dyke contract is almost complete. See, that one raised a little bit of red flags, but nothing that they could actually act on. So having nothing really to go on, they would go back to Shannon, Michael's one night technically lover, right? So they would ask Shannon if they could see her phone. The thing that Shannon had on her phone was text messages. Sharon was like, "Yeah, all right, that's cool." See, on Sharon's phone, little did Michael know, Sharon had evidence of a year-long relationship that they had together. Michael and Michelle. Michael and Michelle were having a year-long relationship behind my boy Nathan's back. He was back home being a loving, doting father, and she was getting pounded in the backseat of that black car that was outside of his house the day of his murder. And apparently the Van Dyke was their like Morse code Nicolas Cage come and find the buried treasure type of thing, if you know what I'm saying. So they would drag Michelle back down to the station and like, "Look, sit your ass down. What the fuck are you doing lying to us? Why the were you sitting here having a relationship with the man that was seen outside of your house right before your husband's murder? You better tell us everything." Michelle was pissed off and said, "What the fuck, man? How do you even know that? How do you have that? What the fuck is going on?" "You got me though." "My bad. Yeah, I ain't tell you, but that's my bad." "Yeah, we've been fucking for a year, but it's like not prevalent, right?" Michelle was like, "Look, man, Nathan was struggling. I needed love. I needed affection. I had a certain lifestyle, and it seemed like he was no longer able to take care of it. So I needed Michael in my life, just a little bit on the side to make me feel whole." Nathan's ghost is turning over in his grave at this point because he's like, "I died for this bullshit?" But even after they learned everything, they don't really know why that would lead to his murder, because reality sets that even though technically Michael would have like the biggest reason to murder her, he still has a solid alibi because he was bumping uglies with Sharon the whole time. So he had no reason to be there to shoot Nathan, right? It wasn't Michelle because Michelle was in the house with the kids the whole time. So who was the man with the brown sweater and the black vehicle? Michelle was in the interview room. She was like, "You just don't hear stuff like that. I love Nathan, but Michael really kind of told me what I needed to hear because I didn't really feel pretty. I didn't feel loved." And they were like, "Man, fuck you. You let that man die because it's some bullshit like this," but they don't really know, right? So they ask Michael again, they bring him back in to grill him, but they know that Michael's kind of known for being deceitful and dishonest. So they can't really, fully take his like word for everything. But they know he has a solid alibi, but they still need to kind of question him a little bit further just to see if there was like some little slippage in time there. Maybe he'll slip up and was like, "Oh, I went to the bathroom for like 15 minutes and then bang, 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 gone to jail," right? See, even though Michael had this record, Michelle had known about this record, and she said, "You know what? Fuck it. I like that Convict D. I'm in love with you. You in love with me. We're gonna make sure that our babies get whatever they want. When I break up with Nathan, it's gonna be me and you for the rest of your life. He might be my high school sweetheart, but you my forever sweetheart. Don't you ever forget that." You got what I'm saying? I don't know how to make a regular heart, but you get what I'm saying. What's the new age ones? The new age ones that are like this. See, what Michelle didn't know is Nathan kind of already suspected there was a little bit of foul play because he would notice that when he came back from deployment, her appearance would be kind of different. So would her attitude, right? So they were getting kind of like separation in between them because Nathan kind of figured what was going on, and Michelle kind of had like her little self a little secret lover, a little double entendre, if you know what I'm saying. But Michelle, she was like, "I'm not leaving this relationship because I refuse to have my babies grow up without a loving father." And she couldn't trust Michael to be a loving father. She could trust Nathan, but she wanted the Nathan, and she didn't want to. But she wanted the Michael, but she didn't want Nathan. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's the point of that? Pick one. See, Nathan would actually start to take time off of deployment just to spend more time with Michelle because he didn't really want like this separate space going on between them because, big loving father. So he would start to actually teach baseball to younger kids. That's kind of like a supplemental job. See, Michelle, oh, she hated that. Michelle hated that, dog. The sight of Nathan by her, she would suck her teeth. Say, man, get the fuck out of here. She would tell Nathan to go back to deployment. She did not want him around for that long. And all of him being back just kind of made her realize that she ain't feeling that dude no more, right? She would lash out at him from time to time, just go angry and start yelling at him, even though he's not doing anything. Michelle, she had become accustomed to a certain lifestyle, as we said, and she wasn't leaving that lifestyle. She wasn't leaving that lifestyle. She made sure that even if she yelled at Nathan, she made sure that she was never going anywhere. Nathan, being the lover boy that he was, he never wanted to kick her out. Then one day, while Michelle and Mike were doing their thing behind Nathan's back, Michelle would kind of let it slip. She was like, hey, you know that Nathan got like a $650,000 life insurance policy on the top of his head? Michael's like, excuse me? $650,000? You say? Oh my God. That man got $650,000 on top of his head. That's like the easiest cash grab I've ever heard of in my life. And Michelle was like, you know what? You might just be right. Shit. Huh. You know what? Let's talk this out a little bit. Right? So they start formulating a plan. They're like, yeah, let's go ahead and talk this out hypothetically, right? If we were hypothetically to kill Nathan, how would we really go about that? See, they didn't really act on it. They didn't really come up with a good plan because, quite frankly, both of them motherfuckers were a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Right? So they didn't really come up with anything like great, but they were just talking about it hypothetically. So they would do that thing and the police would go back, while all this is happening, they're interrogating them. They're telling them everything that's going on. The thing that the police officers realized, not one time during that interrogation up to that point had Michael asked him, why am I here? Not one time did he ask him, what are you charging me with? Why have I been here so long? My man gave up before he even walked in that room. Excuse me, dog. Even if you... But Michael, at this point, he was like, damn, I am dumb. They caught me, right? So Michael starts spilling all the beans. Michael's like, I didn't do anything. But hypothetically, if someone were to do it, they would probably just hire their friend because I technically have too close of ties to military boys. But my friend kind of doesn't. His name's Corey Hawkins. Just saying, hypothetically speaking. See, Michael had given Corey 20K, 20 racks, 20 bands to go ahead and murder Nathan for him. Now, see, what Corey didn't realize is that he about to get paid $20,000 for a $650,000 job. Now, off the top, you were a little bit lopsided, but whatever, right? So he pays Corey, who has a bunch of convictions, but they're usually all for theft, right? Nothing really like strong. So you wouldn't really think that Corey would be like on the murder escalation train. But Corey agreed. He was like, all right, you want him done? I got him for you. I'll take him out for you, right? So Michelle at this point is like, hey, we got it all set up. Right? So she's talking to the detective. Michelle is like, we got it all set up at this point. Ain't no reason for me to hide anything anymore. You caught me. So I'm going to tell you, we have it all set up at this point. We paid him the money. All we had to do was get Nathan there at the exact right time. And it was over for. See, but here's the thing. What y'all didn't realize is that Shannon was in on it too. She was the friend of Corey's girlfriend. And she would basically be Michael's alibi in the whole situation. They made a whole ring of people just to take out Nathan and get $650,000 on his head. All this because this man was a loving father, right? All this to kill that man, right? So they're sitting in the interrogation room with Michael and Michelle, and then Michael's like, listen, I can guarantee you the man's there, but I can also guarantee you that I ain't kill that man. So like, I ain't pull a trigger, it ain't on me. You can't prove that I gave somebody else cash money, right? So the detectives are like, yeah, you right about that, but we go get your ass. Cause see, the way that they had planned it out was Michael would have the necessary car for the crime, but Michelle would go into the convenience store and buy the necessary items for the crime, i.e., the gloves, any cleaning disinfectant, anything that she would need to kind of clean up the crime. And his job was to provide the alibi. And the whole ruse of Michelle getting sick and then finding Michael there, telling him to go upstairs, putting him to bed, and then making sure that he had a good time because that was the last good time that he ever was gonna have, was all orchestrated from the very beginning just to take his life insurance money. And if see now, they had the detectives had collected enough evidence on all of them to arrest everybody but Shannon. So they arrested the killer, they arrested Michael who planned it, and they arrested Michelle who also planned it. And in January 4th, 2011, the trial was set to begin. The trial dragged on for an entire 3 years before seeing a conclusion to the entire thing. Michael Rudolph was the first to plead, and he pleaded guilty just to avoid the death penalty. Like, that's how serious this was. Michael was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Corey and Shannon also pleaded guilty. Corey got sentenced to life in prison with conspiracy to commit murder, and Sharon also got a bunch of prison time. Now his wife Michelle, she all the way up into the end kept saying, I didn't want to do it. I changed my mind at the last second, but the judge said, fuck you, girl. Go your ass to prison. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole too for conspiracy to commit murder. She cried her eyes out begging for forgiveness, but Nathan's mom was like, I'll beat your bitch ass. As she should. So I know technically at the end of the day, Michelle really regretted her decision, but she got life in prison. If you want to see something else crazy that's going to absolutely blow your mind, click in one of these corners to find out what happens when a husband's secret dark gay affair leads to murder.